Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Am I the A-hole? Story 1. Ida for refusing to do festival cooking with my SIL. I, 28F, have a female friend of the same age, Amy. We met at high school and my brother, 26M, started to date her when I brought him to her party. I have no problem with the relationship since my BF is the same age as my brother, so four of us were close. I love cooking and all parents live overseas, so I cook fancy dinners and I don't charge them because I see her/my BF as my family already. 1 week after my prime rib 5-course Christmas dinner, she would like to thank me with a meal. After knowing my BF won't join us, she started to tarnish him based on her observations. She was furious when he asked me to get up early to drop him for work and my BF shouldn't hang out with her female friends without my presence even if they invited him. She thinks he's not worth it since we've been together 7 years but still no ring, we would break up if not getting married soon. I was shocked to know her true feeling and replied, we're fine but I'll look into it. I took my time to investigate since it created doubt in my relationship. My BF is clean when I learned most info were misinterpreted/false accusation came from her entitled female friend who only hung out with us twice. I asked to talk it out to find out not only she felt obligated to warn me since my BF is charismatic around girls, but also claimed talking behind his back it's a sign that she cares about me and doesn't want me to get hurt. She saw no issue trashing him after eating my free dinner since I voluntarily offered the meal since no one asked me to cook. The discussion was unpleasant. Few years later, my brother and Amy decided to tie the knot during COVID. Me and my BF showed neutral emotion since being petty would give them more reasons to dislike us, so we agreed to be their bridesmaid/groomsmen when they asked. Although the wedding was only 4 months away, the wedding went south when the bride/groom/parents got COVID 1 week before the wedding. They covered up without telling the venue while health restrictions were still in effect. My plan was only to attend the ceremony but not the reception if they were sick. My BF said it is not fair for the PPL attending and he'll be the whistleblower by all means. Under the pressure of us and makeup team, they postponed the wedding for a week. We attended and didn't make any scene. After the wedding, we faded out of any events involving my SIL. She hang out more with her entitled friend and I move on with other friends who cherish my food more. My parents didn't call me an a-hole but said that I should let it go since SIL chose me as her bridesmaid, not her entitled friend, and postponed the wedding under our pressure at the end, so I should resume my festival cooking with them because they're still family. I refused because I'm tired of her side brings drama into my life and my BF never got an apology for being misunderstood. Ida, P.S. I found out her entitled female friend broke up with her BF around the same time I was told that my BF is not worth it. Coincidence? Story 2. Ida for not knowing something I was never taught. So I am a 15-year-old boy and me and my mum are both home today cause we are both ill, not at school or work. Because of family problems I've been dragged about the country, UK, by my mum. We finally settled down again with my dad. Now in these 8 years I went to about 5 different schools, fucked me up a little bit. Now because my mum is more ill than to decided to make her a coffee and I know how. But my mum doesn't think I know how much coffee to put in the mug. She goes through step by step explaining how to do something I know how to do. Then she goes on about spoon sizes, 1 tablespoon, and so while I'm making her coffee I go, I don't know spoon sizes. For some reason this really shocked her and she started yelling at me in Bulgarian saying stuff like, how the hell don't you know them, you're 15 for God's sake, and shame on me. For 1 year I went to a reasonably posh Catholic school when I was about 7. My mum keeps insisting that they taught me all these high-class things when they didn't teach me shit, from what I can remember. So to defend myself from her flaming I said, well, you never taught me, nor did Dad, nor did anyone. Of course that's my fault. I think that's a reason not to know something, but apparently not, so she just kept saying shame on you to me. So I really want to know, is it my fault for not knowing what spoon sizes there are? Mind you, lower working class, so nobody really gives a shit in my world, and are spoon sizes really that important? Lyle, when did you last refer to something by its spoon size? I have never, so like it might just be me. Am I the asshole? Story 3. Ida for telling my son he has to stay in his room when we have company. Me, 50M, and my ex-wife, 45F, have been divorced for 14 years now. We have one child together, Rain, 18M, and I've since remarried and have 3 children from my current wife, she's 48F, the kids are 8M, 15M, and 19F. The customary arrangement we've had since Rain's been a teenager is that he spends 3 months at his mother's house and then 3 months at my house and back again. Rain recently turned 18 during the 3-month period that he stays with me, and since then he's had to pay rent and for his own food for the rest of the time he stays here. He wasn't necessarily expecting it, but he wasn't a brat about it. He picked up a job quickly and has paid his first month of rent. No issue there. He's also putting aside money into his college fund so he can attend university next year. No issue there, either. But apparently he's not budgeting properly because he's always hungry. He eats all right, but he wastes his money on junk food instead of buying substantial meals. As a result, he goes through periods where he gets borborygmi. It's nothing too loud, but it is noticeable if the room is relatively quiet. Last time I had my sister over, she noticed and he said he just had a stomachache. We're expecting company again this week and I don't want something like that happening again, so I explained to Rain that he can introduce himself to our guests and then he needs to stay in his room until they leave. Rain got pissed and argued he didn't know how long the guests would be staying, and that he can't help that he's starving out here. I reminded him he is not starving, but even if he was, it's not my fault. He agreed to the rules when he got here. Rain said he isn't blaming me for it, but he's not following my dumb rules regarding the guests, even after I told him they'll only be here for about an hour. I'm worried that because he's mad now, he's going to act all dramatic about how he doesn't get enough food in front of our guests, and even though it's none of my fault, if that somehow gets to my ex-wife, I don't know what she'll say and I don't feel like dealing with drama. I also feel like he was trying to emotionally manipulate me with the starving comment. Ida? Story 4. Ida ambiguous work situation. I work for a local DC and there is one patient who has a standing weekly appointment, last one before lunch break. These are 15 slots. This person always gets adjusted and then shoots the breeze with the doctor for at least another 15 minutes, holding us both up from leaving. I can understand that Doc has to stay until she's done with her weekly chit-chat, but I can't justify him paying me to stay as well, considering the tight budget under which he's operating. My solution is to gather my things and bow out as gracefully as possible, being sure to wish Doc a good lunch and her a good week, but I always wonder if I'm being rude. Ida for leaving? Should I stay until she leaves regardless of how far into lunch it gets pushed? Story 5. Ida for not wanting to babysit my friend's child overnights and not connecting them with my babysitter. I, 33F, have a friend, 34F, we can call her Nina. I am married, 2 kids, ages 4 and 3. Nina is a single mother, 1 child, 2 years old. Nina has a hard time being a single mother. She frequently reaches out to her circle to help babysit so she can have breaks. These breaks are often overnight breaks. Her mother helps a lot with these overnights during the week and on weekends so Nina can have her own life. Recently, Nina asked me if I could connect her with my babysitter for possibly an overnight. I told her I was uncomfortable with that. I didn't get to fully express my reasons because she blew up at me and called me judgmental. My reasons are the following: Nina lives in an unsafe neighborhood, the neighbor across the street is creepy and spies on her. And her apartment is infested with rats. The landlords, her mother and stepfather, seem to have no interest in taking care of the rat infestation. It's been over 2 years with the rats. I would recommend my babysitter, 17F, but I wouldn't recommend my friend in her current living situation. The argument then turned into how Nina feels I am not willing to help her in her situation. It always comes back to her situation, single mom, deadbeat baby daddy. I have babysat a few times, for a few hours each. She has asked me multiple times to babysit overnight, all of which I said no, one being over the 4th of July long weekend. It's not something I am willing to do. She then turned it into how willing she is to babysit my kids and other people's kids, and how it is a give/take relationship, and that's called community. I didn't respond to her last message because in my opinion it has nothing to do with community and everything to do with boundaries. Ida? I don't think we are friends anymore, but I keep brooding over this. It's been about 2 weeks since either one of us have spoken to each other. It's upsetting, but I think I can move on without her if she is going to guilt trip and try to manipulate me. Story 6. Ida for asking my 26 BF are we together? I 21F ask my 26M BF to talk after some time of not talking to ask him if we are still together, and his reply is this is too fast for me, I'm not sure anyone. Lil background, we go on a date several times before he asked me to be his GF, and after some time he strat to distance himself from me for no reason, so we go no contact from several days. Now he's mad at me for asking him do he wanna be in relationship or not, and he think that I wanna broke up. Am I the a-hole for asking? Edit, I didn't mention that we are together for year and half, and this is out of nowhere. And I don't know what go wrong. Story 7. Ida for yelling at my nephews until they cried and had to leave. My son recently died. I have not moved his stuff other than keeping it clean. I usually leave the door to his room closed. I pick up and babysit my 2 nephews for around an hour on weekdays, since their mom, my sister-in-law, gets off work too late to pick them up. They are 11 and 13. Usually they are well behaved and do their own thing or even sometimes help me with chores. On Friday I was cooking a very pungent soup, so I aired the whole house out by opening all the windows and doors. I should have left my son's room closed in hindsight, but I think I opened it out of habit. When their mom went to pick up her kids, I went to get them and saw them messing around with my son's guitar. The older one was messing with the string screws while the younger one was plucking at the strings. I admittedly freaked out a lot and I raised my voice at them, which I have never done. I said, "What are you doing? Drop that right now. What are you even doing in his room? Get out. Never come in this room again." At that point they started crying. I pulled the guitar away, and their mother came in. She tried to mediate the situation and console them, but I told them all to get out of my house and they left. The guitar was thankfully okay and not scratched. Their mom called me later to talk and apologized on their behalf, but told me that she thinks that we should all have a sit down and apologize to each other. She told me that I really scared her boys, and that although she thinks what I did was understandable, I overreacted in front of them. She told me that at the end of the day, they didn't really do anything harmful and that they deserve an apology from me too. I told her I do think that I overreacted but that I wasn't sorry because they could have broke my son's guitar. She told me that it's extremely cruel to ever raise your voice at children and that I should be the bigger person. Was I the asshole for doing that? That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.